All right, all right. This is the second episode of Ground Zero Florida, and joining me today is Erin Huntley, the chairwoman of the Orange GOP. Erin, thank you for being with us today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course, of course. I know we were going back and forth and trying to put this together because we really wanted your point of view, your special point of view of President Donald J. Trump's inaugural this past Monday. That was 2 days ago, and I'm glad that we've been able to schedule this and get this put on film and let our viewers know what was what was it like from a Floridian's point of view. And first of all, how was the weather?
Well, I grew up in Buffalo, New York, so I would say it's very similar to my upbringing. But for us Floridians, it was cold. And I think for everyone else there, it was really cold as well. But you know what? We would take any of that weather as long as we get Donald Trump inaugurated back in the White House. So
Yes.
a lot of Floridians traveled there, a lot drove, a lot flew. And I'm thankful I was able to make it back. A lot of people have had delays with the weather. But
Right.
as you know, this goes on, and Trump's in the White House, and he's done a lot since high noon on Monday. And we're just thrilled that he's back in the White House.
Yes, he's come out of the gate, just, zoom. I mean, yesterday his announcement of the multi-hundred-billion-dollar deal with SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle. When I saw the press conference on C-SPAN last night, I was just like, "Wow, this is something that I think America has been waiting for, and it's an investment in America, jobs, and it's something that an industry that's very important and becoming even more so, and that's AI and technology. So I was excited to see that. From your point of view, what was it like, the atmosphere there during the inaugural weekend and of course swearing in day?
So we arrived on Friday, and I was there with my family, my husband, and I have three teenagers. So we were
Oh,
all able to make the trip up to Washington, D.C. And the Republican Party of Florida did a great job putting together some opportunities for our members and people who participated in the elections this past year, and had a lot of fun together. A lot of us were in the Marriott Marquis, which is next to the convention center, so right next
okay.
to where the balls were. And so it was nice to kind of all be together. And I'll tell you what, if you wanted to meet someone, all you had to do is sit in the lobby of the Marriott Marquis, and pretty much every person came through there. Donald Trump came next door to the convention center, but every person came through there.
Wow.
In fact, when I was leaving yesterday morning to go to the airport at very early in the morning, I was walking out, and Lee Greenwood, who sings God Bless the
Yes.
USA, was walking up and going to the elevator when I was walking out. So every everyone was through that hotel, and it was super exciting. And I'll tell you what, it was all different types of people from all over the country and all over the world. We met people from London, from Mexico, from Africa, who had all flown in to be a part of this. And that's what makes America great, is we can all come together and have a peaceful, transition of power and
Correct.
move on to what can be America first. So it was super, a lot of fun, a lot of energy. So I'll tell you a little bit about our schedule for the Republican Party of Florida. Friday, a lot of us
Sure.
spent most of the day going around and grabbing tickets that were from our congressional members. So we had all different ones, that different sections. And so we went to pretty much all the congressional offices um, on Friday and picked all of those up, got the directions. Now, the funny part was, every office we would go to, we would get a little more information. And at that point on Friday, it looked like it would be moving indoors. And sure enough, it did. But
Yes.
all the people kept coming. We were grabbing the tickets and making sure we had everything. Um, we also received the inaugural program,
Ah,
which
okay.
has the famous picture in there.
Ah,
The new,
yes,
the
yes, the
new Donald
official
Trump picture.
portrait.
JD Vance was
All
in there,
right.
so that was really nice. Also received a fancier version of the program, which has a little tassel here. So
Oh,
that was
okay.
all in there and has inauguration information. So all of that, as well as the map of this is where you'll sit. So basically, as they handed this
Okay.
to us, they said, this is about to be scrapped, but just so you know, have that information,
Hey,
there it
as a
is.
souvenir. Yes.
So it was great. There's also these, I thought these were beautiful.
Mm.
So I
Now,
thought
what
these were,
exactly is that? Is
this
that
is
the
a
actual
ticket.
program?
This was a
Mm.
ticket for the mall standing area. So
Okay.
back further. And then these smaller tickets were for the more front sections that were standing and seated. So there's all different ones. They're requested through your congressman or woman or senator. And so we picked all of those up and got them for everyone. And then by the time we picked them all up, everything was moved indoors. So, so it's a little
Was
bit of a switch of plans, but I'll tell you what, if you're around campaigns enough, you know that everything changes on a
That's right.
dime. And so it's like, here we go. Okay, moving it indoors. And so Saturday, we had a nice Republican Party of Florida breakfast as well as
Good.
reception and speakers. We had Congressman Mike Herodopoulos, who is the newest congressman to represent part of Orange County out on the east side. And
Okay.
so he was there, Byron Donalds, Kat Camp, and also really excited to meet in person the new governor of Puerto Rico, Jennifer Gonzalez Colon. So it was
Yes.
nice to hear from her. And, it was just really neat to see everyone. So that was a great opportunity that we had on Saturday. And from that point, we had a little bit of free time. And that evening was the Republican Party of Florida Gala, as well as the
Okay.
Sunshine Ball, which was hosted by Senator Rick Scott. So that was a lot of the Saturday activities, but that's also when all of the weather started to turn. So while we
Right.
were all getting ready to celebrate and have fun, we were watching this weather descend on Washington, D.C. and snow. And I do get a lot of questions. Was it security? Was it the weather? We were
Right.
told it was the weather. And as the weather came in, you could see how the snow then accumulated on the ground outside. Then it warmed up a little bit and melted and created ice patches everywhere
Oh,
throughout the city.
okay.
So while people were kind of questioning what was going on, by Monday morning, when I was out walking to the Capitol, there was ice everywhere.
Oh,
And
wow.
it would have been really difficult with the amount of ice and just snow left on the ground there. And the streets are paved, but there's a lot of cobblestone areas and
Yes.
sidewalks and marble stairs, all different types of ground, and it was very slippery. So
Right.
I can't. The weather was a big factor for Monday, but we, persevered, and a lot of different people got to do different activities. Some people were in the Capital One Center on Sunday for President Trump's rally. Some people were in the Capital One Center on Monday to watch the inauguration. And then he came in there with the indoor parade as well. And then some people were a part of the balls on Monday night as well. So there was a
Okay.
lot of different opportunities, but hopefully everyone that came got to participate in something that they were looking for, if not just the sightseeing and being part of the energy. But there were just thousands and thousands of people everywhere from all different places, just excited to welcome in President Trump.
Were people disappointed that things were moved into the arena, or they just kind of went with the flow?
A lot of people went with the flow, and I think we have a lot of happy warriors that came back from 2020 and ready to win in 2024. So with that attitude, it carried through. But of
Right.
course, I think there were a lot of people looking for that one photograph on the mall with him being inaugurated with them there. And
Yeah.
it's such a big area that could fit so many people. So you think about could be couple 100,000 to a million, depending on the weather, then moving to the Capital One Arena, which only holds 20,000 people.
Right, right. With now that we know that then Senator Marco Rubio was being considered, and we learned yesterday that he received a unanimous vote to become the next Secretary of State. Did the Florida delegation do any type of like special recognition for the senator at the time, prior to, or even after the swearing in of President Trump?
Yes, I believe there was a reception in honor of him, and we've been working very closely with him and making sure that he had everything he needed in this transition. And then I was part of the governor's press conference this past week as well, when he announced his appointment of Attorney General Ashley Moody, who is now Senator Moody, who was sworn in
Yes,
yesterday. And a few
yes,
of our members were there for her swearing in yesterday. So
great.
it's been an amazing time to watch the greatest Florida leaders rise up and take some of that Florida freedom up to
Yes,
DC. And everyone asks us, what is going on in Florida? How are you
yeah.
all doing so well? And I tell everyone, we're focusing on what matters to the voters,
Hmm.
and then campaigning on that and then implementing it when we get to office. So we're thrilled for Senator Ashley Moody and for Secretary of State Marco Rubio. It's going to be interesting. We're getting tongue tied already because we're saying their former titles, and we need to
Right.
get used to the new ones. But we'll take that any day. That they've earned these positions with their hard work and
Yes.
really done a fantastic job. So we're looking forward to all that they will accomplish for America now.
This is says for the Republicans. In my observation, even from when I was in Illinois in politics, this has been decades in the works for the party, a culmination of so many things, of a strategy to make Florida prominent on the national level. And when you have a president from Florida, you have his cabinet and his advisors heavily influenced by Florida, the Florida delegation. This should send a resounding message across America that Florida is for real, and has always been for real, and has put together a strategy to have President Trump in control again.
That's right. And Florida's leading the country. We always say, make
Mhm.
America Florida. And
Yes,
not that we want everything, Florida to be everywhere, but the policies of Florida have led our country and led us to this point. And if you think back to the year 2000, Florida was in really a lot of trouble with the way that we conducted our elections. So think of
true.
how much has changed in 24 years, which really isn't that long of time. Um,
It's not.
I remember back then hanging chads, and the elections aren't,
Yes,
people did not feel their votes counted or the elections were secure, all the way to now where Florida leads the country. People want to understand how we run our elections, how we have our returns in so early compared to other
exactly.
states. And so for anyone that may be discouraged that it's going to, things are going to change in our state, in our county, in our area of the country, just know that if you put a plan in place and you work at it bit by bit, it will come to fruition. And that's what Florida has done, and we will continue to do. I'm thrilled to be, leading in the Republican Party of Florida, to
Yes,
keep stepping on the gas and making sure that we are moving, the ball down the field continually. You can't just spike the football with these big wins and then walk away. We have to go
that's
back,
very true.
get the coaches in place, get the players in place, and
Mhm.
make sure we're ready for the next game of 2026.
Indeed, indeed. And to speak to that, congratulations on your election as chair of chairs in the Florida GOP. So, congratulations there. And you're welcome. And to kind of speak to that, I've said that, and I've heard it from somewhere else, that Florida is like the the test kitchen or the laboratory for American conservatism. Is that what you also believe in, or is that something that has some truth to it as Florida leads on the national level?
I think what we've done is we as a party have focused on what the voters are telling us are their top issues, and then we're delivering on them. So to lead in the Republican Party of Florida is continually to have our ear to the ground of what is going on. And a lot of us as party leaders, we are out there door knocking with our candidates on the
Mhm.
phones, doing vote by mail renewal. And voter registration drives. So we're hearing from voters what matters to them and how we can make sure that we're moving the ball down the field. And so I think a lot of the new conservative party and the Republican Party that we're, leading the country in is listening to the voters and enacting policies that will solve some of the problems that they have. I like to say that the Republican Party is the party of solutions, and we should not be the party of complainers. We should be the party of solutions, and then make sure we implement them so then we can be elected and reelected. And hey, you never know. You could end up being like Marco Rubio as a Secretary of State.
That's true. That's very true. Erin, is there a takeaway from the inaugural weekend and swearing-in day that you found especially remarkable or fascinating that you can share with our viewers and listeners?
The biggest takeaway that I had is a lot of what we saw over this weekend involved families. And
Hmm.
if you look
Yeah,
at President Trump and his family, who they're all grown now, but he had a lot of his grandchildren with
yeah,
him, Vice President Vance and his young family, and all the other people who are involved in the administration and their families. And then all of the people who were in Washington, D.C. to celebrate with President Trump and the team brought their
mhm,
families along, young children, babies, grandmothers with grandchildren. It was, the wide spectrum of a lot of families. So I think we're going back to a point in time where we as Americans want America first, common sense policies that are great for America's families, because there's a lot of concern about how our country can move forward with all the national debt that has been incurred and the unrest on the world stage and open border and the economic challenges we have. President
right.
Trump has a clear vision of how he can find the solutions that will work for families. And I say all the time, I think some of the reasons why we have some of the most effective leaders in Florida is because they have children in the home. If you look at
Okay.
Senator Moody, she has young children, and Governor DeSantis has young children as well. And a lot of these leaders go out and fight for Florida values and all of our, our whole country every day. And then they come back and they're parents and they look at their kids
Mhm.
and they get the motivation to go back out the next day and keep fighting for their kids because they know what the cost is. So my biggest takeaway would definitely be that this is about American families and making sure that they can thrive and achieve the American dream.
That's excellent. And that's so true in regards to your statement about the family involvement in this past weekend and throughout Republican and conservative politics. It's something that I've spoken on with my candidates and our audience in the past and will continue to do so. I'm not going to keep you long. Final words. First of all, thank you for taking the time and being a part of our podcast. It's episode number 2, so it's very special to us. We'll definitely remember. Um, however, Erin, is there something that you like to leave with our viewers and listeners, a message or anything that you think is would be important for them to hear?
So I know a lot of people view political events and elections as, a start stop process, where we do elections, inauguration, and then we take a break. But my biggest, you know, when I look at all of this, I would really encourage anyone that's excited about what they see or maybe a little frustrated, to get involved on your local level. This is an opportunity for you to make a difference in your community on the local level, municipal, state, national level. There's a lot of ways to get involved. So I would just encourage people who may be sitting on the sidelines and just listening to get
Yeah.
active. There's a lot of ways, whether you have a lot of time or a little time, to make a difference in your community. And I would just really encourage that. And I've seen a lot of people accomplish amazing things by becoming a part of campaigns and parties and all the festivities that go on around election time.
Awesome. Thank you, Erin. And everyone, she speaks the truth. And Erin, again, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. Everyone, this is Erin Huntley, the chair of the Orange GOP, and we really appreciate you being a part of this show. And we hope to have you back soon.
Thank you, David. You're fantastic. Keep up the great work.
Now, if only I can control the controls here. We'll see you the next time. Thanks, Erin.